the smallest movement of my shoulder and my arm hurt like crazy.
You start off the beginning of the season scoring your 1,000th point, and now at the end of the season, you're sitting on the bench in a sling.
Literally the only things I do is work out and go to school and play basketball. 2 out of those 3 things were taken away from me. So
Well, you know what they say. They say the comeback is greater than the setback. So
every day, every minute, I'm just working as much as I can because this is the only thing I can focus on.
So pretty much you don't have a shoulder anymore.
I didn't know how much pain I was going to be in until I actually...
Welcome to the Built Not Born podcast, a platform for athletes, students, coaches, players, and people of high performance. We are here to discuss people who have dealt with adversity, resiliency, and how to deal with real-life struggles. I am your host, Tom Mandile.
And I'm your co-host, Thomas Calabrese.
We're here to discuss real-life issues. We're here to talk about accountability, ownership, and how people could deal with real-life struggles in their own personal lives, and perhaps something you hear today with one of our guests or through Thomas's journey and recovery story that might be able to help you along the way. The first thing I want to ask Thomas is, Thomas, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a junior currently at Cliffside Park High School. I'm going to be a senior next year. I play basketball since I was probably in 2nd grade.
Tell me about this injury you have. So you have a torn labrum?
I have a torn labrum, a torn rotator cuff. My AC joint popped out of place, and I developed Hill-Sachs.
So pretty much you don't have a shoulder anymore.
That's what it was before I got surgery.
So now they reconstructed it.
Yeah, it's all done.
Well, you know what they say. They say the comeback is greater than the setback.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about before the injury. So going into your junior year here, you were on pace to score 1,000 points, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and what was your mindset going into your junior season? Talk about that performance and like the expectations you had going in and what it took to get there.
Going into junior year, I knew how many points I had to get 1,000. I was at exactly 799. And I knew that like once I hit that 200, well, 201 points exactly, but 200 wasn't going to be that hard. I knew I'd get that within like at least like the first 10 games or so. That was my mindset, was just to try and get it done as soon as possible. But I also didn't want to force anything. I didn't want to rush anything. I wanted for it to come naturally. Once it got to that point, almost like where I was like, all right, like I'm right there. Like I'm about to score my 1,000 point. Like the nerves were setting in a little bit. I didn't really want to force anything, but also I wanted to get it done. I didn't want my teammates to like just be like, oh, like I need to get him the ball or anything. Like I wanted to just, I wanted it to come naturally. And I got it done against Clifton late in the 4th quarter. And once I got my 1,000 point, I was like, I feel like the whole team's mindset can just go to a different place. And
That's excellent. Congratulations on the 1,000 points.
Thank you.
Now let's talk about the ebbs and flows of your junior season, right? So you start off the beginning of the season scoring your 1,000th point, and now at the end of the season, your team loses in the state playoffs and you're sitting on the bench in a sling. So talk about the wave of emotion that you went through and then how that was all taken away from you. Talk about how that felt. The moment that you had this injury and you heard from the doctor that you weren't going to be able to continue your junior season.
So, well, originally I dislocated my shoulder for the first time after the season last year at an AAU practice. So I went to multiple doctors. That doctor said, I recommend you just get it done now. Don't have to worry about anything. Because he asked me what my goals and aspirations were. I told him I wanted to play in college. I want to take basketball as far as I can. And he pretty much said, go get this done. And but he also said, if you don't get it done, there's like an 85% chance that it's going to happen again. And at that time, I had no idea. This is my first time ever really getting a major injury like this.
Now, excuse me for cutting you off. So now, just so we all understand this, so this is after your sophomore.
This is after
year.
my sophomore.
So this is the summer going into your junior year.
This is like the end of the spring, start of the summer.
Okay, so you go into your junior year, you opt not to have the surgery, and then you score your 1,000th point in your junior season, and then at the tail end of your junior season, with about 4 or 5 games left in the regular season, you suffer this injury, correct?
Yeah.
Now, I would say everything that anybody knows about Thomas Calabrese is that basketball is your passion. You love basketball.
Yeah.
You live, you breathe, you eat. Now, can you tell me where that passion came from?
My dad, man. My dad, like I never really got to ever watch him play, but like just the stories about him, I mean, he's a legend, especially in Cliffside. But at St. John's, like everybody just tells me like, you don't understand how good your father was. And that really motivated me to like just want to be better than him and want to be as good as him and get to his level. So, I never really got to watch him play, but it's just the stories that motivated me to just want to be better than him.
Tell our viewers out there, for the athletes, for the young athletes that are listening, exactly what your daily routine is.
My daily routine was I'd wake up 5 in the morning before school. I'd try to get my lift in with my trainer. I'd meet my trainer at the gym. We'd work out for about an hour and a half before school. And I'd go home, do what I gotta do, get ready, shower, eat, um, then head to school. And then after school, go home, eat, and I'm working out again. Either had practice or I had training. That usually lasted around 3 hours. So I try to get in like 4 to 5 hours a day of just straight working out.
Okay,
So
so it sounds like you have a tireless work ethic, that you understood that the expectation that was on you going into your junior season to score 1,000 points, that you had to have this daily routine. And this is
yeah.
a routine that you've had probably since your freshman year. Now, let's just backtrack a little bit. Now, let's talk about that journey coming into Cliffside Park, because you had some options, right? So for the viewers out there, for those athletes that are saying, "Hey, should I go to this school or that school?" You chose to stay home. You chose to stay in Cliffside Park. Well,
So
who helped you make that decision?
my parents, they thought that the best decision for me was to reclass, and that's what I did. I reclassed at a school in Fairlawn called Parisi Academy, and you really just become a better student, better athlete when you start there to when you leave. I really was just like I was falling in love with the whole private school aspect, and I also wanted to, bring put Cliffside back on the map and start winning some league championships and stuff, and
No.
that's what happened.
Absolutely, and you could sit here today as a league champion, as 2 out of your 3 years in high school, you've qualified for the Bergen County Jamboree, which is quite an honor as a young man, scoring your 1,000 points. Now let's get back into this injury, and let's talk about the mindset for all the athletes out there, for adults, for anybody, for parents who had dealt with some resiliency and some setbacks. So let's talk about that's taken away from you. So now how does your daily routine change? Now what goes into that?
I mean,
Because you can't work out anymore.
yeah, no, it changed everything. Like everything that I feel like God put me on this earth to do. Um, I literally can't do it. Like literally the only things I do is work out and go to school and play basketball. And two out of those three things were taken away from me. So, it's just I got to come up with things to keep me busy, because those things kept me occupied. They kept me busy. They kept me out of the house. They kept me going. So, the one thing that the doctors told me is that I need to rest as much as possible. So instead of waking up at 5, I wake up at 6, which I know it's still kind of early, but to me it's not. And they said the only form of exercise I can really do is walk. And I actually just got cleared for the stationary bike. So when I go to physical therapy, that's what I do. But I try to get at least 15,000 steps in a day. So that's what's keeping me busy.
Well, that's excellent. So for all the viewers out there who are saying to themselves, "How can I stay active? How can I stay busy?" So you could choose to sit home and obviously rest, which is what Thomas is doing, or you could choose to not only rest but also get out, move your body, get your steps in. Now, I'm assuming you're still wearing the brace every time you leave the house,
For
as
the
cumbersome as it is.
for the most part, I am.
Okay, yeah, 'cause I'm pretty sure the doctor has told you you have to wear the
Yeah,
brace
they did.
every
They
day.
did.
Yeah.
They did.
What was the hardest part after the injury?
I didn't know how much pain I was gonna be in until I actually felt the pain. Like, a lot of people were telling me, like, "Dude, you're not gonna wanna do anything for the next couple days," and, I mean, that was true, but and I did feel a lot of pain, but that next day after surgery, I was up and I was going for walks.
Let's talk about the morning of the surgery, the night before. What are you thinking? Because for a lot of people, surgery is a very scary thing, right?
Yeah.
For one reason or another. So a lot of people are very apprehensive about having surgery. So let's talk to our viewers here about what your mindset was going into having a serious, for your first time, any surgery on your body.
Okay, so we gotta go back a little because there were a handful of surgeons that I was looking at going into the whole operation process.
You had a few opinions from different doctors, and you chose to go with which doctor and why?
I chose to go with Doctor Ahmad out of, Columbia Presbyterian. He's also the Yankees orthopedic, and, I mean, the second we went to him, he was just like we just knew that was the guy I wanted to go to, and, he explained to me, like, the whole process and how it was gonna be, and me and my family was just like, "This is the guy that we want." So, a couple days later, he contacted us, told us, "Hey, I'm available March 17th for surgery. Let me know if you guys wanna do that date." I don't think I was ever really that worried. I mean, I got surgery when I was a baby, but it wasn't anything like this. So this is, like, my first real time, like, getting surgery. And, no, I mean, I was a little worried, but I trusted my surgeon so much, like, just everything like, from what I hear, he's, like, the best orthopedic shoulder surgeon in, like, the country. So I was, like, really, really, really confident in him, and I was just like that really made me less worried. Like I wasn't worried going into it at all until like that night, and then I was like, oh, like now the nerves are starting to set in because like I'm actually going like under anesthesia. I've never really been under anesthesia, um, and I didn't know what else they were gonna do. I
So now
just
the morning of the surgery, so you're headed to the hospital with your parents, and what are you thinking to yourself? Do you have any second thoughts whatsoever?
no, not at all.
Okay.
I was just ready to go. I wanted to get this done as soon as possible. So
Okay. Now you had the surgery, successful surgery, and what's the first thing you can remember coming out of the anesthesia?
the first thing I remember is my arm was just in this sling right here. So I just remember waking up and it just felt like a long blink. And then I woke up and this was on me and I was like, oh. And I was really, really tired. I was lethargic. I was out of it. And they actually put a numbing block on my arm. So they put a needle up here and it just numbed the entire right side of my body. So I didn't feel anything. And they said later that day you're not gonna feel anything until like maybe the nighttime.
It's nighttime, so okay, so you had the successful surgery. Now, we're obviously a creature of habit,
Yeah.
your workout routine, your diet is very clean. Now, does Thomas Calabrese allow himself a cheat meal?
No.
Knowing they just came out of a major surgery, do you
Well,
allow yourself
before
maybe some fast food?
Nah, before when I was healthy, yeah, because I was working out. So I was like, yeah, like I could eat something. Like I love Chick-fil-A, so I'd always eat Chick-fil-A. But nah, I mean, now that I'm not working out, like I can't. Like this is like the most crucial time for me to recover. So I can't take any chances putting anything bad in my body, you know? So
'Cause I wanna discuss your mindset with the pain because, you've told me that you've had a pretty high pain tolerance, and for our viewers out there, right, understanding what that mindset's about, because a lot of athletes and parents and everybody, adults alike, they have to deal with some type of pain, whether you're playing pickup basketball at 24-hour fitness, whether you sprain your ankle, whatever it is, right? So what was your mindset going into this surgery and after the surgery, right, with the pain that you felt?
well, the initial pain, so when I first dislocated my shoulder, that pain, it's not really a pain when you dislocate it, it's more of just like a shock, you're not really expecting it. So when I dislocated it against Fort Lee, for the second time, it wasn't like it was pain, it was more just like, "Oh my god, it's out again." And it just is a weird, weird feeling in your body. Um, Putting it back in really hurts. And I'd say I have a high pain tolerance because my shoulder dislocated in middle of the game, and I popped like, the trainer popped it back in, and I went right back in the game, and I finished it. So and I guess, like, maybe I shouldn't have done that thinking back 'cause, it could have damaged it more, but there was just it was such a close game, and there was so much adrenaline going through my body that I was just like, I can't sit out this game." The numbing didn't wear off, like, the numbing pain didn't wear off until later that night after surgery. So I didn't really feel anything until that night, and then once I started to feel my hand again and my arm, yeah, I was in a lot of pain. I mean, like, the smallest movement of my shoulder and my arm hurt like crazy. So, like, it's a real thing. Like, I didn't think it was gonna hurt that bad until you really get the surgery, but yeah, that first week is rough. I mean, showering, sleeping is the worst. I just got cleared to not wear this when I sleep because it's been a month exactly to the day.
Yeah, I think we discussed earlier today about, what was one of the hardest things you had to deal with after the surgery. My question was, how did you shower? And you said you had to use a
I don't even know what it's called, but you know the thing with like you scrub your back on and stuff? I don't know what it's called, but I had to use that for like 2 weeks. I couldn't move my arm or anything. So, yeah, that's what happened the first week, but, it's like week by week, it just gets better and better and better, and now I'm at that 4-week mark from, post-surgery, and, physical therapy's been going great. I have a really good physical therapist, and every day, every minute, I'm just working as much as I can because this is the only thing I could focus on until I get back into basketball shape.
Now let's talk about goal setting, right? Because a lot of mindset and dealing with adversity is creating goals for ourselves. So, what are some of your goals? Because obviously, your big picture, your dreams, you've already discussed to me and told me that you want to go into your senior year and have the best year possible. But before we get into next November, you have to set up these goals. So, what are some of your incremental goals you have here?
First things first, I'm trying to get on the court again. That's my main goal is to just be able to get back on the court. And I want to prove to the doctors and to, my physical therapist and all the people that will be able to clear me and judge if I can go back on the court. I want to prove to them that like my shoulder's strong enough to where I can go and, shoot some form shots or dribble a basketball. Once I get cleared to go and shoot again, everything's just gonna start coming back. Like it's all muscle memory to me. So
Who's been instrumental in your support system?
Everybody, man, my mom, my dad, my sister, all my cousins, they're very, strict on what the doctors say, so they always keep me in check, and they always make sure that I'm doing the right thing, especially even, like, with my diet, like, my mom always makes sure, like, I'm eating as best as I can. My dad, he's anytime, like, he doesn't see me with this sling on, it's a problem, so they've all been great to me.
Yeah, so talk about where you see yourself 60 days from now.
60 days from now, I mean, obviously on a basketball court, that's the main goal. I wanna get back on the court as
So
fast as I
so is that a realistic goal? So just for our viewers out there, for the athlete who may have had a similar injury, who's questioning whether or not to have surgery, and we're not here to basically say you should or you shouldn't have surgery. We're just trying to map it out from Thomas's perspective about what his road to recovery is and what his mindset was going into the surgery and then post surgery. So you're saying 60 days from now, so 3 months out, the doctors have said you have a good shot at getting back on the court.
Yeah, so well, what helps me is that I'm young. That's, like it's better to get it done when you're younger. I know a lot of people who've, like, dislocated their shoulder, and they still haven't done anything about it, and it's, like, 20 years later, and now they're, like, in their 40s, and they still have shoulder pain. But what I recommend is you get it done as soon as possible so that you don't gotta worry about it anymore. Initially, when I went for my first checkup before surgery, when I met with my surgeon and, his assistant, they said, like, if everything is going as smooth as possible, like, 2 to 3 months is a realistic timeline for you to get back on the court.
Okay, so you have that 60-day number in your head, but you
Yeah.
understand that this is a process. So for all of our viewers out there, we never want to rush the recovery process. We want to make sure that we're kind of, sounds cliche, but we're going through the journey here, so to speak, where you're going to take it day by day and make
Day
sure
by
that
day.
you're battling your rehab to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
You told me that you wake up at 6 in the morning to go to rehab or PT on Friday mornings.
Mhm.
You have it at multiple times, other times during the week. So you have a set schedule for your rehab.
Yeah, I go 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I treat physical therapy right now like it's a game, like, as serious as possible because this is the only thing that can help me get better.
Excellent. And this is the Built Not Born podcast. So we're here to talk about not only Thomas's journey through his recovery and his mindset going into the surgery and now post surgery, but we welcome any athlete, anybody who had to deal with any kind of adversity or setback, whether you're a parent, whether you're a high performer, whether you're a coach, a student, anybody had to deal with some type of setback in their life. And we would love to hear your story because this is what it's about. It's about impacting others. We're empowering so many people to listen to our podcast, and hopefully you hear one thing that could ultimately possibly change your life and help change the lives of so many others. So thank you for listening to the Built Not Born podcast. TNT signing off, Tom and Thomas. Now, TNT also stands for Takes No Talent, and it takes no talent because one of the things that we always strive here in the Built Not Born podcast is how you're going to make somebody feel. So think about what you could do today to leave a lasting impression on somebody, because at the end of the day, somebody will always remember you for how you made them feel.
Mhm. Always, so always treat people with kindness, always be respectful, and, yeah,
And be grateful.
be grateful.
Thank you.